There it is. Jura, a little island on the western coast of Scotland. An isolated island. Takes a few ferries and a couple of hours to get here from the nearest big city. But we are here for a special reason. Whiskey. Scotland is not a big country by no means, but millions and millions of people around the world are crazy about whiskey. Sometimes it's not about the size of the dog in the fight, but about the size of the fight in the dog. So what's the secret of whiskey? We're about to find out. Time to move on, the ferry won't wait. The best thing about this whole thing? I'm not even sure if I like whiskey.
For me, pleasure is simple. I want it as much as I can and as frequently as possible.
Because this is the Tipsy Diaries, we like to start the journey the same way we actually like to end it. For you it might be a nice jog in the park or reading the morning paper without any haste, but for us it's a drink.
Cheers.
So Jura has only one pub for its 200 inhabitants, a rusty gas station, a road with a single lane and not much else. I mean, conditions are challenging, to put it mildly. But at the same time, people we met already seem rather content. I mean, even happy. Who knows? Maybe it's the whiskey talking. We're not in a hurry. It's something like 11 o'clock. Is this...
It's before noon,
yeah,
that's for sure.
Is it normal for you to drink whiskey at this hour?
Not on a weekday maybe. It's the first time this week at least, but it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
I have lived on this island for 25 years with my family. I came from the mainland of Scotland, really searching for somewhere that I would feel happy in. I've always looked for something, and Jura was it. And so lots of people don't find that happiness in Jura. A lot of people like it for a few many years and then they leave. But for me, it was the joy of living here on a remote island and really passing the baton on of making this wonderful product, Isle of Jura single. People always say to me, you know, about nosing, because, you know, they always are listening to other people tell them about the smells. And as I say, to me, you know, it's all about finding that history on itself, your nose, the smells that are instinctive to you and how you describe them to you. And, you know, on the island, for instance, we would just sit at somebody's home, just having a wee dram with people, reminiscing about old stories, about what went on in the past, and what we were going to be doing in the future. So to me, it's all about really in this enjoyment of not just have to educate people how to drink, but you know, how to, you know, go about the whole business of sitting down and enjoying it with yourself if you have no friends at all. When I look into a glass, what I see, most people would see, would just be this wonderful golden liquid, and it's got that wonderful smell. But for what I see, is the people that I've worked with for a lot of years within this industry, and lots of people who live with me on this island who helped me to make it. And some of them no longer with us, but for me it was all about them. So when I look in there, I see the people of the island, I see the island itself. I don't just see this wonderful golden liquid. So I always say to people, you know, you should look in further into it when you're drinking a whiskey and find out where it's from, find out about the people, because, you know, to me that's where all the pleasure's coming from, or a lot of the pleasure.
Believe it or not, the Jura whiskey starts as water, as very, very pure water.
On top of that hill there's a loch where the local distillery source their water from, and we're going to find it.
Well, that was a lifetime ago. About 30 years ago, a friend suggested we come here for a week's holiday. So we found ourselves on the ferry to Jura, and I distinctly remember stepping off the Jura ferry and looking around me and thinking I'd found my Shangri-La. It's a really beautiful place and had everything I liked about the west coast of Scotland. Fishing, shooting, everything. And that was the start of my love affair with Jura. Then, some weeks later, a couple of months later, we came back again and I met my wife here. And we got married a couple of years later, lived in Glasgow, stopped working abroad and started a business in Glasgow. And then out of the blue I got a phone call from my father-in-law, and he asked me if I'd like to come to Jura and help him run the bus service. So I started packing my bags before I put the phone down, and my wife started unpacking them. And so anyway, I've managed to convince her it was a good idea to come back to Jura and give it a try, and the rest is history. We've been here now 22 years, brought up both our children here. Yeah, I'm in a good place. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to me living in Jura. I love Jura. I love the quietness of it. I love the scenery. I love all its different moods. The people are great. The crack is brilliant. The nights in the pub, the Cayleys, all of it. It's all relevant. Every bit of it's good. And I don't see myself being anywhere else. Jura's home for me, and I hope I fit the bill. I think I do.
On a rainy day, and there's quite many of these here, there's nothing really to do except look at the sea, throw some sticks, Some people don't mind the weather, they go deer stalking.
You know what is tasty? Venison pie. Well, it's a dish we've been eating basically every night. There's about 5,000 deer going about the island, and someone needs to shoot them. We're about to find out who they are.
You know, island of Jura is a funny place. It's population 200 people, very small, but a large island, so we're quite spread out. There's 7 estates that kind of dominate the island, though the distillery is the big employer. We've got 2 lots of people come to Jura. And the people who come to Jura are either coming for the stalking in the high-end market, or they're coming camping and just don't want to see anyone. Everybody wants the open spaces and the kind of wilderness that we are. The deer stalking, deer stalking has always taken place on Juras, but it's a sport first and foremost. So we have to go out there for the day, and we'll make it a day out. So we're looking for the old animals. The ideal is to get a very old stag, which is just past its best. So he's done all his breeding and things. So the idea is to go for a stag like that, rather than going for the big one in its prime. That's not part of our deal. What we like to get, and we've got around 750 hinds and about 300 stags. So between that, we take about a 10% cull over the year and over the season. So when we go out and we're quite selective about what we get, which is what has to be done so we can maintain that population and possibly improve it.
What kind of guns are you using? What kind of rifles?
Rifles. What rifle have you got with you, Kevin?
I've got a 275 Rigby.
He's got a 275 Rigby. We've got a 270 on the estate. What have you got, Dave?
243 Taker.
And then last week we got Germans, so they had Mausers. Yeah, all the big names. It's nice. Whatever people feel comfortable with shooting is what you really need. So, whiskey to me is, I will hesitate to say, an essential at the end of the day. Whiskey is a lovely drink, and I think something like stalking, whiskey goes hand in hand with that. It's like a 1 or 2 drams is very, very nice. A good warmer. Yeah, it's just part of our heritage, something you grew up with and something you like. And as you get older, you learn to appreciate a bit more.
Well, rainy day outside, but you can always run into the pub. So pub is a place to have some hearty Scottish food, and it's guaranteed that no one will go about feeling hungry after this one. But when the night comes, the congregation will have a totally different meaning.
The Japs used to say to us, if you see Mount Fujiyama before you leave, you'll be back. And if you see the Paps on a clear day, you'll be back. But the family goes back 7 generations.
7 generations? Oh, really?
At least.
At least, okay.
I was at sea, retired now.
Yeah. What does Jura mean to you?
Everything. So I won't see people going off this island with a bad impression. I had a bad impression the other night there, but we're not going to talk about that. Distillery, when they started it up, people used to say, a great place, Jura. See it in the summer.
See it in the summer.
Then the first winter and away.
It's too harsh here, or?
Too harsh. Well, a lot of them are locals that are in it now, once the younger generation, they've got a job there in the distillery there now, which keeps them on the island, and well, a lot of them get houses up the other end of the bay there. but it's good for the island, you know. You get somebody to carry on, but you know, for naturalists, it's a dream come true. The wildlife we've got in Jura. And if you take somebody out of the city and they look and they see all the deer and the goats and all the different types of birds. I mean, I've been talking to people who are talking about 80 different types of birds in the island. It's a big island, right enough. It's the 9th biggest in the Scottish coast. Police will take care of that, shall we say.
So at the moment Ilkka is inside the pub drinking whiskey with the local Durocs, and I'm out here trying to gather my thoughts a bit. The pub is the heart of the island, no doubt about it. I mean, people come here, but it would oversimplify the reality to say that they come here to drink whiskey. Actually, I think they come here to share it. The beverage has deep roots in the land, but also in the people. Anyway, time to go back in.
I'm getting there.
Hey, I'll just do a wee jiggy one, right?
Hey, try a wee chair. Alec, I mean, we've had tons of fun, but could you play the fiddle?
Well, as my instrument of choice,
Yep.
it's you know, something I've spent a lot of years learning, and you know.
The Scottish way of...
Well, yeah, absolutely, yeah. So, yes, I'd really like to give you a little number. Okay, let's do it.
With mommy and daddy standing by. Well, summertime.
I think it's broke, John.
And the living is so easy. With fish and child.
Yesterday was fun, maybe too much fun, feeling heavily peated this morning. But there's nothing better than the supernatural freshness of Jura. Sure, it's boggy, but to understand the bigger picture, you need to get to higher ground. You know, you gotta love the fresh smell here in Jura. I mean, I had some images in my head before coming here about Jura, but being actually here, you know, there's nothing like it. It's the raw wilderness of the island is something very unique, and even though there's hardly any vegetation on the island, you can still say that the nature is spectacular, and it sort of stops you and makes you think.
Is Jura really a superstitious lot? It seems close to half of the buildings are actually haunted, including the one I'm sleeping in. Also, these mountains are an essential part of folklore stories. Hell, they even put it in the Fiski label. So anyway, kids, if you ever do mountain hiking, it's good to bring a high morale and a good spirit.
Should we?
You know, me and Ilkka, we're kind of restless people. Usually always ready to go on the moment we land in a new place. But there's something about this place, something special. I mean, it's a very harsh place, but at the same time rewarding one. No doubt a bit like the whiskey it produces.
It's actually funny walking up here. You could smell the peat in the air, and it sort of hit me that this is an amazing place to do whiskey. And you know, before starting these trips, you never know, where you're gonna end up and who you're gonna meet. But sitting here, looking at this view, it's just pure pleasure.
After our time here, I think I've learned a thing or two from the locals, and not just about whiskey. I mean, if you can fill your life with small moments of pleasure and share them with your friends, your life can be very happy, even though the conditions are hard. I mean, maybe that's actually the secret of whiskey. It's a pleasure that carries a meaning that is bigger than a transient moment of joy. I'm actually very sad to go. But at the same time, I know the world is filled with beverages that we actually need to sip. So it's time to go. As an ending word, that whiskey thing, it actually tastes pretty damn good.
So how you feeling, man?
Pretty good. Too much venison pie, but otherwise... it's okay.
Definitely too much.
Yeah, 5 nights in a row. What do you think about those whiskies? Huh?
Those were pretty good. Especially the 16-year-old.
Oh, and the 21, huh?
And the elixir.
What about the 10?
The 10 was pretty good as well.
Pretty damn good.
We basically drank them all, so...
Yeah. Feeling kind of thirsty already.